Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk about buffed Angela. Now Angela was said to only get like a value update, but there's actually quite significant changes on top of the value update. I will be making videos about 3 of the 4 buffs just because I think Massacre buff is fairly inconsequential and very little is actually changing on Massacre. He quite literally gains, I think, pretty much no new abilities, and yeah, that is just like pretty much a true value update buff there. So if you like Massacre before, you're gonna like him even better afterwards. If you didn't like Massacre before, you're not gonna like him after much more anyways. He's gonna have harder hitting level 2, and there are some other abilities that are tweaked. But Angela is the champion that I do want to talk about, because I do think she has like a legit good potential, because even previously Angela wasn't worst of the cosmic champions, and people did use her for this and that previously already, and she did hit decently hard, and she was extremely suicide mastery friendly, which she's gonna be even more afterwards. Therefore I'm legit excited, and honestly I'm quite upset that I don't have a 6-star of her. Anyways, we're going to start with the signature ability, because previously the signature ability was quite useless, so to speak. You basically got 1/3 or less, well, the most meaningless 1/3 of what you have now. Previously, basically, opponent nullify ability accuracy was reduced based on her sig level, and that's about it. Now, however, she also reduces auto-block ability accuracy. That means you can use her against Modok, Darkhawk, Medusa, or whoever, because if you do have her at max sig and 3 buffs active, you will completely bypass auto-block. And that's quite big. That is quite important, and that definitely can come in handy. There is another more important thing, though, in her signature ability, and that is damaging debuff duration reduced by 35.05%. That means that 3 buffs, all of the damaging debuffs, are basically non-existent. Kind of picture Blade when you're playing him on max power, which you hardly ever do, because then you have to give up most of his damage output. But with Angela, it's something generic, something that will just happen as you use her. And that means that she quite potentially and most likely is going to be a very decent option for stuff like Freezer Burn, stuff like Biohazard, and here is the best part, even for stuff like Caustic Temper, because she does have access to Fury buffs, and she will be able to shrug off all the poisons extremely quickly. So I do find incredible amount of value in that. That unfortunately might also mean that for some people who have 6-star and duped Angela, you will be missing out on quite a lot of benefit, and it might be better to invest in 5-star. Heck, I'm actually considering taking up my 5-star Angela to rank 4 or 5, because I definitely want to give her play about, and I'm very interested because not only this new utility, well, she has more new utility and much better numbers than they were. Right, let's get to the next added bit. Now she can parry non-contact attacks, which is also quite helpful when you're going up against Havoc, Iron Man, Infinity War. I don't know if you would want to use her against Ebony Maw, but she can parry him, and Yondu and Dominoes and stuff like that. You will have much easier time parrying all of these projectile attack champions. Like Professor X can be tricky to parry, only his first medium can be parried, the rest of the attacks can't. She will be able to kind of like stay close to him and parry everything there, and that is great. It's not the most important thing, the thing that you can play about, but it's just kind of like quality of life, convenience thing. Her regen, however, has been buffed, and I think her regen is just about doubled. Previously, for every 10% that you lost, your regen recovered 5%. Now that has been upped up to 10%. So in theory, any amount of damage that you take with Angela, you're able to heal back up if the fight lasts long enough, or, here's the best part, if you have the recovery mastery, you can walk out of any fight with more health than you started, because you heal more thanks to recovery mastery. Last thing, obviously, here is the fact that she was already quite suicide-friendly character, because the damage you took from Liquid Courage consistently triggered these buffs, resilience charges, and you were consistently healing, so you were out healing the liquid courage damage, and it can basically work like a healing machine. Not a large amount of heal, but it still worked. Well, now it's going to work a lot better. So Suicide Mastery, she's going to be constantly healing throughout all the fights. And I'm very, very excited to see that. I definitely am, and that is one of the bigger things about her now. Because she's going to be a champion that has more utility, more healing, especially if you're somebody who likes Suicide Masteries, and more damage. So it does look quite interesting. Right, when it comes to the number tweaks here, then armor rating has gotten a bit of an increase, I believe. Attack rating is, I think, slightly more than doubled per Fury. Those Furies are significantly more potent now, and they're quite big. You can see that for Max 4-star, they grant 2000 attack, where her basic attack is 2309, so they grant like 90% attack increase, and you can typically get like 2 of these easy. So she's going to be hitting very hard. And then you get to the precision buffs that also have been slightly upped. And the aptitude has also gone from 50% to 60%. So that is quite significantly more. And even though each individual one of these things might not add up for a huge numbers increase, all of them put together will almost certainly make her hit a lot harder. And then there is one more thing that I definitely have to point out. Now, her special attacks actually have a use. Now, these abilities have remained the same. There's absolutely nothing changed with them. I think there's like 100 critical rating increase there as well. But the main thing is here. Special attacks. Angela's Terrifying Aura inflicts 1 armor break debuff on the opponent for each buff Angela has, removing an armor buff and reducing armor rating by 233. Now, it's, again, not the huge numbers. It's not going to be Cosmic Ghost Rider armor breaks or Call Obsidian armor breaks. But if you add this on top of all of the other number increases, then end result should be quite significant. Not to mention that having access to armor breaks in itself is another small piece of utility that just kind of like lets you bring it all back home together, because armor breaks can interact with despair, so you can mitigate healing to some degree in some fights. Armor breaks obviously get rid of armor up buffs, which is quite important against armored assault nodes or a whole bunch of other abilities, against a bunch of tech champions like Guardian, for instance, and Warlock, and so on and so forth. And then there is just the added benefit of, having that access to debuffs and slightly more damage. So that looks quite good. Everything else here in special attacks hasn't really changed. I think they added some lines to level 3. They increased the damage amount per buff on Angela. I think they added an aptitude buff, and that's pretty much about it, I think. But overall, I must say that I am very, very, very excited about Angela. If you think about it now, she can parry projectiles, she can deal with damage over time debuffs, which is going to be crazy useful. She can bypass auto block, and she's going to be hitting a lot harder. So all that put aside, I do think that, all that put together, sorry, I do think that Angela looks extremely solid, and I am very, very interested to play with her, test her out, and potentially maybe even invest some resources in her, because it, by the looks of it, she just might be worth it. The only kind of like negative that I can see here is that you will lose large amount of utility, well, large amount of her utility if you rank up 6-star over 5-star, which is what everybody ideally wants to do. Nobody really wants to rank up the 5 stars, everybody wants to focus on 6 stars. But we'll see how it works out, and how good and how useful she is unduped, and how her sig scales. That's also quite important, because some champions' signature ability scales horribly. Some champions have very inconsequential signature scaling, like Hyperion, for instance. If he's sig 40, he's good enough. There is no need for the last 160 signature levels. If that's the same case with Angela, then that's perfect. If she scales like Guardian does, where you hardly get any increase up until like sig 160, then it's bad news for us. But again, that is something that remains to be seen. But overall, I am quite excited to play with her and see what she can and cannot do. Now, that definitely is one big reason for me to look forward to this update in particular. But that is it for today's video. I hope, I really do, that you guys have enjoyed today's video. And if you have, please hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the buttons. And I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya. did with. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information